Hey, welcome everybody. We are live. Eric Drake in the house. How's it going? Some slight hiccups here in No Shenanigans November, as I am calling it. Let's see, we're going to have people joining us. Hey, exam, what's going on? Okay, so I'm going to wait we'll see who comes. I never made a promotion video out of sheer busyness. So we'll see who shows up that knows that we're doing this. And then what I wanted to do out of the gates, hey, Jambi, Mason, glad you're here. Nat Turner's apprentice, glad you're here. B-Law. Let's start out by acting like this is a coaching session together for No Porn November. We'll wait for a few more people to get in the door here, and then we'll get going. Hey, Armando, Igor, how are you? Lord Alex in the house. What's happening? Happy November, everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm still tired and slightly exhausted from October, which I'll talk about our No Shenanigans November once more people enter. Hey, Jorge, the Dark Knight in the house. So close to relapse. Notification popped up. That's what I'm here for, Dark Knight. Kiran. Shakib, I'm so glad to be here to help you, my friend. Jean-Pierre, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I'm sure we'll have more people joining us, but I wanted to thank you for being here for No Porn November, which I am calling No Shenanigans November. So hopefully you will remember that and you will take it home. And I'm going to tell you what that means for me. And I'm hoping you can either take some notes, get out your phone, put it in the notes section in your phone. Better yet, get a journal so that there's a lot of learning here this November. We are here to skill build. We are skill building, and that's what coaching is about. So I'm going to get over into the comments in a few minutes, but I do want to start with just some themes here. So we are entering into, No Porn November. It's No Everything November around the world. My daughter rides horses. It's No Stirrup November. A friend of mine is so funny. He was joking that he just came off of anti-sober October, which obviously isn't even that funny. But so today is day one to begin the journey towards freedom. Thank you, Mason. So that is perfect. But my point about this is we call this month No Porn November. So if you are, or No Fat November, and this goes back to neuroscience, and this is a strong coaching strategy that people have been using since the beginning of time, is that you don't want to focus on the no. Because if I tell you, not to think about a penguin right now, what happens? Y'all are thinking about a penguin, there's no doubt. So when we say No Porn November, it actually focuses our thought process on porn. So that's why I named mine No Shenanigans November, because I wanted to take account of the shenanigans that I need to stay out of. Shenanigans in my house, basically, for all of my now young adult, teenage children, means things that we do that are not in our best interest. So they are the habits, the rituals, the things we get sucked into that lead us further away from the authentic, awesome self we're trying to be. So I want you in your journal, in your notes, at least write down a note of taking note of what your shenanigans are. And I'm going to share a couple of mine. And one thing I want you to take note of: when are you most at risk for these shenanigans? So porn is definitely one of them if you're here, and it might be other sexual acting out behaviors. You have to look that horse in the mouth and become accountable for that also. So for me, it usually is a breakdown in my good habits of not working out, which that's in the morning or the afternoon, or my evening routine, which I have a solid evening routine to keep me healthy and to help me kind of wind down, to get ready for bed and to get a good night's sleep. The shenanigans will enter there where, I'll end up hanging out too late. I'll stay up too late, not get a proper amount of sleep. I won't make a meal, so then I have to figure out what to eat, or I just eat whatever there is in the pantry, which obviously isn't the way to go. So the shenanigans will enter in the evening with the breakdown of my evening routine. So for you, if you're at risk for watching porn in the evening, you need a solid evening routine for November. And if you can build that routine over the next 30 days, it will be skill building over this 30 days, and you'll have a new routine moving into December. So that's why I'm doing No Shenanigans November. Now, we're going to talk about some more strategies in just a second, but what I want to share with you is, now I'm calling it No Shenanigans November, but what I've actually done for myself is converted from a negative into a positive. So taking it from No Shenanigans November and making it hibernation. So I've already proclaimed I'm hibernating this November, which means I'm going to bed early, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to engage in positive behaviors. So when a bear hibernates, that's not a negative thing they're trying to run away from. That is the healthy habit that a bear does in the winter to be well for the rest of the year. So in your journal, let's think of all the shenanigans and the times when you're at risk for doing them, but then give No Porn November a positive name for you and make it something that feels good to you. So what's going to happen to me is I'm going to have to say no to a lot of evening things. And actually, I already have, and I can share that with you in a second, but I'm going to have to say no to going out, to drinking, to eating, to staying up way too late, to the shenanigans. Mine's all in the evening. So when I go home to hibernate, when I go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, it will feel good to me because I'm following my hibernation schedule for November. And November is a perfect time to go to bed early and to put all these good habits in place. But it'll feel good to me instead of like, no, I can't go out and do those things because I'm avoiding them. It's not what you're avoiding, it is what you are investing in. And so I was supposed to go to a party on Saturday. I decided not to go because I was already implementing my strategies. The party started late. There definitely would have been a lot of drinking that I would have either engaged in or had to keep avoiding. So instead, we had the nicest chill night at home hanging with my peeps. So think about that. Give No Porn November a positive name for yourself. All right, let's dip into a couple questions, and then we'll get back to the idea of what were some more coaching strategies that we're going to talk about today. Let's see what we have. Anybody have any thoughts or questions here? I'm glad you're here. Everybody is Sean. Oh, you're welcome for helping. Olivier. Thank you. I'm glad my videos are helping you. I'm really here trying to help the world. Okay, Hardaras. Sorry if I murdered your name, but right here, I failed it, man. Please give me power. I don't want you to use the word fail. You know this. It's win or learn. So if you didn't succeed, which, yes, I know that's just a nice way of saying that you failed in what you have. But if you tell yourself you failed, that's a downward spiral. If you learn from it and you say, okay, I didn't succeed that time, I slipped, I stumbled, you have to give yourself the power. I can motivate you to do it, but finding that power within is the journey. Recovery is called recovery because you're recovering your authentic self, the real you, the true you that you want to be, which porn and sexual acting out definitely doesn't fit into it. So figuring out who that is and then creating the habits like I'm talking about and giving it a snappy name. Snappy names go a long way. That's why everything in the world has a snappy name. So give your time here in succeeding a name. And, with my kids in our family, I have what I call our family success plan. And yes, some of the kids hate that term, but it's the things that I am expecting of them so that they can be successful young adults. And if they follow that success plan, then, I am able to support them in the ways that I want to. So I don't call it a don't fail plan. I call it a success plan. But this leads to the next thing. You need a plan. Plans are absolutely essential here. And that's why I wanted to have this live today, because today is day one. Do not go into this month willy-nilly. Get a plan. Make that plan today. And that's why I'm here. I want to give you pieces of a plan. And so far, we talked about making sure you figure out the times of your day or your week when you're most at risk and put something new in place there, something that feels good to you. And I'm going to pivot into that in just a second. Let's see. I'm going to see if, let's see, Gagarin, not ejaculating. Are there some negative side effects? No, there's not. No one ever died from not ejaculating is one of my mentor's favorite quotes that he says. And he is a recovering sex addict. He always says nobody ever died from not masturbating. So if your body needs to, it will purge it in a natural way. What will more likely be difficult is your brain. You'll feel your brain going in different ways, increasing anxiety, maybe depression, as you're kind of unwiring that pattern. Okay, so let's see. How long does it take to desexualize your brain? Okay, so time is only one factor. That's why I'm here again today, because I want to give you coaching strategies, but time is only one piece of it. It's what you do that matters the most. So let's talk about this. I'm going to stay here for a minute. I'm going to put the question off, but let's talk about what's really at play here. So your brain is looking for high levels of dopamine from hypersexuality. It's a dopamine dependency. And we know this. Science shows baseline dopamine levels are changed when you're first exposed to porn. It makes it so that you have greater reward sensitivity and bigger dopamine spikes when you view porn. What it means is your brain wants the dopamine from the sexual content or behaviors. It's dopamine. So here's your coaching strategy for November. Let's give your brain as much dopamine that we can from your life. Now remember, porn and hypersexuality, they're super normal. It's a super normal stimulus, meaning your brain gets more dopamine than it could from your life. So it's a level 15. Your life can only give you dopamine up to a level 10. Those are normal or healthy levels. So what we're doing over the course of November is we're teaching your brain to not need level 15 dopamine anymore and to feel okay with up to level 10 dopamine. And at the same time, you don't want to need level 10 dopamine all the time. So the strategy that I use here, I call it the purge and reboot. So we need to purge that need that your brain has as we're rewiring your brain and bringing it back into healthy baseline dopamine levels. So when you have those spikes of dopamine, you feel even better, but the spikes only go up to 10, not to 15. So what's a strategy? Purge and reboot, which means recognize your brain's looking for 15, but let's try to give it up to 10 from your life, because we're also unlinking your brain from the screen and we're trying to get it motivated back into your life. And so we know your work, your hobbies, and your relationships should be dopamine producing. But if you've been going back into the screen, you've conditioned your brain to get all the dopamine from the screen, and it leaves you in a dopamine deficit state in your life. That's why these 30 days are crucial, because you're going to teach your brain not to go on the screen anymore, but to get into your life. So here's the strategy in the purge and rewire, the purge and reboot. The strategy is you have to resist the content. You have to. So we might want to talk about how to overcome urges and cravings, but you have to do it. And then the way to do it efficiently is try to get as much dopamine out of your life. So hopefully the question right now is, how do I do that? How do I get dopamine out of my life? Well, there is a strategy that's called dopamine stacking. And I don't know if you've heard this before. Dopamine stacking, it can be used in a very negative and harmful way. If you're dopamine stacking and you're watching porn and you're smoking weed and you're drinking, that's stacking unhealthy dopamine producing activities on top of each other for high levels of dopamine that are harmful for you. So we want to stay away from that for sure. But what we want to do is get healthy dopamine producing activities. And we know that there's a list of healthy dopamine producing activities. So take note of these. Number one is exercise. That's why when I miss exercise and movement, so there's movement and exercise, they're different. Movement is you go for a walk, you move your body, you just get the system cranking a little. If you go do it in nature, that's actually a third dopamine producing activity. Exercise is you do some push ups or you lift some heavy stuff. Those two things are easy enough. If you don't have a workout routine, just lift some heavy stuff around your house, do some push ups next to your desk. That alone is going to help you, especially when it comes to urges and cravings. But we're doing this preventively. So that's dopamine from your life. You're getting dopamine from moving your body. If you go out in nature and you open your focus instead of having closed focus in a screen, this is another strategy. Open the focus. Because when you become present in your life, and especially in nature, you will get dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So that's the happiness trifecta. So think about your schedule and make times to open your focus. Hopefully it's, 3 to 5 minutes every hour and 15 minutes. Open the focus, come out of your screen, come out of especially sexual content. You want to stay away from it, but come out of the screen, open your focus, go for a walk. Okay, so another thing, food. Food's very dopamine producing. And that's why in my 90-day program, I encourage people to learn how to make some meals. And it's very important because, first of all, everybody has to eat. When you make your own meals, it's an executive function project. You get little pieces of dopamine from the process. You get little spikes of dopamine from the process. But then when you make a beautiful meal and you share it with someone, you get even bigger dopamine spikes. That's very natural in your life. I woke up the other day and my husband was up super duper early and they were barely edible, to be honest, but he was super cute. He was trying to make hash browns. And I could see this, kind of twinkle in his eye because he woke up super early. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's got the what's that thing called? The KitchenAid, mixer, but it's got this shredder, attachment to it. And he's making hash browns. And then he realized some things he did wrong. But since then, he's bought the right ingredients. Executive function, it gives his mind something to go back to. And then, I praised him for how good they were, but they were mid for sure. Don't tell him. But this way he's going to be, motivated back to making food again. And you have to eat, so you might as well. And cooking can become really fun, but food's really dopamine producing. So get dopamine from your life. Come out of the screen and make some meals and eat them with friends. All right, let's see. We're going to go here to a couple questions. And does your brain lose plasticity with age? Well, in reality, we know that brains do age. They age. We all age. What happens with brains is they actually slow down as we're getting older and aging. But I work with people. I think my oldest client now is 87. And, he is still sharp, especially after he's been doing neurofeedback with me for a really long time. Neuroplasticity, the way I talk about it is it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. It's your worst enemy if you're using it to do all the wrong things. And all the wrong things are what suck the plasticity out of your brain. All the right things contribute to plasticity. So neuroplasticity, it's a use it or lose it, and use it in the right way. And that's what people don't really understand. That's why when you engage in work you love, it keeps your brain sharp. But then if you have 4 cocktails, it's taken the neuroplasticity out of your brain. If you consume porn, it's literally taking the neuroplasticity out of your brain. It's making it so that your brain is more neurorigid, needing to go back into the screen. Neuroplasticity means you can control your brain and make it work for you and have it do what you want it to do for you. So brains do slow down as we age, but there's many things that you can do to keep your brain sharp. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so here's a question. Can masturbation using memories of past sexual experiences desensitize from the real girls and from a feeling of when you see an actual girl in real life? The answer is yes. That is called euphoric recall. And a lot of the people that I work with really struggle with euphoric recall. And if you just think about it logically in the context of dopamine, your brain is going to a memory that was highly dopamine producing. And it's going there because it wants the dopamine. So now, if you're training your brain to go back to that highly dopamine producing memory to get all that dopamine, and now a little hottie comes walking towards you, but she's a 9 and not a 12 of a memory. And you know how memories go, they're either better or worse than they actually were. So it's most likely better than it actually was in real life because you're adding that layer. So now you've got a girl in front of you who's a 9, but you've got a memory that's a 12 and she can't compete and it will desensitize. And the more you go back to that memory, sorry, I'm roasting. I gotta turn my air conditioning on. It's chilly here in North Carolina today, but so you know, you want to stay away from those behaviors. So I have a few strategies that I have videos on this channel to what to do when fantasy strikes, because fantasy is usually the last straw for people when they're coming out of the screen and they stop masturbating, but now they're caught up in this fantasy loop. Okay, just want to turn it a little lower. Okay, so yes, so stay away from that and, you know, engage in your present real life. Don't keep going back to the past. If we stay in past or future, we miss the present. So stay present and get the dopamine out of that. Some winter tips, yeah, for sure. So yeah, hibernating is one of them because my new planet's going to get dark early with daylight savings time. Red light. So red light therapy, and Dave Asprey, if you've ever heard of him, he sells red lights. Red light therapy, which I now have a sauna because of my whole toxic poisoning experience in life. So I have a sauna that has red lights in it. Red light therapy can be really, really important. You can get small little lights that give you red light therapy that will help. They're actually dopamine producing. They'll help you to produce more dopamine and to feel good. But honestly, if you can get out in the sunlight, and it depends where you live, you know, I'm from Buffalo, New York, where it's very difficult to get out because it's -10 and there's 5 feet of snow. Here in North Carolina, I can get outside every day into the sunlight. But get out into the sun or sit in the sun in your house. I remember one winter when I was locked in the house where I would just sit in the window and have the sun hit me. You can do that and you don't have to buy a red light. But again, it goes back to habits, making sure that you're engaged in your life and it's well rounded. Okay, so let's see. Central audio, like let's hit this audio question because I see a couple people have it. So, okay. Yes, it can be an issue. Anything can be an issue. A memory or thought can be an issue, a sensual audio. So if this is something that is being used towards foreplay, like I know a lot of people have long distance relationships, or, you know, sex and intimacy is supposed to be sexy, right? So like there's a place for sexiness. It's just a matter of you don't want to be caught up in consuming something from another person instead of experiencing it with another person. So like if you're using that audio as foreplay towards being with your partner, it's moving you towards the experience. If you're just using it as a consumption for your own dopamine spike and your own pleasure, that's objectification. So really what's at the core of everything we're talking about here is not objectifying people or sounds or thoughts and using them for your own pleasure. Staying in your actual life and having those experiences is what we're talking about. That's what we're doing this November. That's what this No Shenanigan November is. So thank you for these questions, because all of that they're the shenanigans that I'm talking about. That's why I wanted to switch it from just porn, because I want you to realize if you keep listening to, you know, an erotic audio from your girlfriend, like you're using that for your own pleasure. It's a shenanigan. But if you listen to it and then you're going to be with her later on, that's foreplay. That's sex is supposed to be sexy. So it's about your intent. If you're using a thing for your pleasure, for dopamine, that is where the issue is. Okay, so let's talk about PIED. I just finished recording the erectile dysfunction program that I have been working on for months and months and months. And I was going to make it live January 1st. It is still my hope that I can make it live on December 1st. And because it's long, it's 42 lessons, it's 21 lessons and 21 activities. And I spent the months trying to shave it down because it gives you all the information so that you can understand what causes erectile dysfunction and then strategies to be able to heal it. So if you've been hitting that, easy button for sexual dopamine since you're 10 years old, is that I explain all this in the program, but the idea is that your brain has been really desensitized. So the number one thing you have to do is not keep desensitizing it, is to understand all of these pieces of the shenanigans, fantasy, audios, lusting after people, checking people out. You have to really become aware of how much you're hitting that dopamine easy button in terms of sexuality. Then you have to stop that, which is very difficult for most people if they've been caught up in that for a long time. You definitely have to stop watching porn. Then you have to resensitize the reward center, which can be a challenge if it's significantly desensitized. So again, it's not even a matter of time. It's a matter of what you do. And it does take time, but you have to do as much as you possibly can. If you, and I don't know if I'm capable of finding a link here while I'm talking, but I'm going to go for it, is that if you get the brain training headband that I talk about, I'm going to put the link up once it comes up. And I offer a small program called Brain Training 101 that has teaches you how to use this headband. It will start resensitizing the reward center in your brain. Make sure you use that link because you get the biggest discount for getting it through me. So make sure you use that link. They're supposed to in there. I think they've made it so that it like has my name on it, but it wasn't fully all the way through. And then I'm going to put up a link for a small course that I offer. It's $49. That is Brain Training 101, so you can learn how to use it. So this way, start doing the things that resensitize your brain. Then using dopamine in a healthy way. What I'm talking about here is a way to resensitize your brain. Teaching your brain to go to your life to get dopamine is the resensitization. You no longer desensitize, you resensitize. PIED is porn-induced erectile dysfunction. It's the cause of most people's ED, and they just don't know it. And, I offer consultations. So if anybody wants to talk, I offer them on purpose because most people haven't shared their struggle with anybody in the real world. I can try to find the consultation. I'm a master here. So, I talk to people every single week and they tell me I had no idea that my behaviors, what I was doing was contributing to ED. And the answer is that's what we're talking about here is that we have to, here's the contact page if you want information on the discovery session. Okay, so can porn affect natural libido of someone, like making it stronger? And this is in the ED program too. It's not that it's making your libido stronger. What it's doing is making your hypersexuality stronger. Those are two different things. That's what I want people to realize. That's why I make these videos. So, this is what I want you to understand. You think it's libido. Libido is when you're with a partner, do you have virility? Are you present and able to have a good experience, not a performance? So what hypersexuality is, you think about sex all the time and sex is on your brain all the time. And actually this is shown by a study by Valerie Voon, where people who are compulsive pornography consumers, and especially those who found porn when they're young, which is most people, those people basically have hypersexuality and they confuse it for libido. But the study shows that there isn't a stronger liking, there's a need. And the need is the hypersexuality opposed to the libido. So hopefully you understand that. So it is not a good idea. It is not healthy for you because it doesn't mean you'll be, a better lover with a person. It means your brain's going to be looking for dopamine from sex. And likely you'll objectify that partner and use them for your own pleasure. Libido is really spreading out dopamine at healthy levels, serotonin and oxytocin for connection for healthy sexuality. Okay, hopefully, yep, all my programs are virtual. So everything is on my website. Everything I do, I work with people all over the world, which is fun and exciting for me and helpful for people all over the world. That's totally awesome. Abhinav, thank you for getting that tattoo, because that is really great. Me and my fam squad are really cool. We're really, really good. Life's good. It's exciting. The kids are young adults at college. Man, talk about shenanigans. Oh, raising daughters to not be hypersexual. One of them, at least. Hopefully she's not listening. So yeah, it's really good. Life's great. Let's see. Okay, so let's see what this one. Don't know why, but I always take risky decisions. Okay, I know why. This is a great question. So exam, I love this. Thank you again. This is a really good one. Motivated more by immediate reward, ignoring the potential long-term negative consequences. Does this habit have any relation to my porn addiction? The answer is yes. I always want to say hell yes, but I keep cutting it off. But the answer is absolutely. So, and this is in the ED program that I just put together. So there is delayed gratification versus instant gratification. And it's what I always talk about as the easy button. So what porn does is it creates an easy button lifestyle. So just think about it logically again. You just hit a button and you get a super normal stimulus that gives your brain a level 15 dopamine. Like before the dawn of the World Wide Web project in 1991, which became, the web in 93. Before that, there wasn't a place you could do that. You couldn't hit a button and just have massive amount of dopamine producing scenarios pop up in front of you. So because of that, what that does is it's created a society of instant gratification that don't know how to delay gratification. Social media lends into that. And even just, I know many of you might be younger than me, but back in my day, you could only watch cartoons on Saturday morning, which is so awesome. So Saturday morning, you would get up early to watch cartoons. The Smurfs, they were amazing. I'm trying to think of with She-Ra, and He-Man was on. My brother Dan loved He-Man. So you would have to wait all week long. And there are still very few shows that will drip themselves out. And I love when those shows do it, where they'll drip themselves out week by week. Totally awesome, because it helps society delay gratification. But if you're just scrolling through and we get notifications for everything, you can DoorDash food and it's here in 45 minutes. You don't have to make anything. You can mobile order Starbucks. And I'm opposed to all this stuff. And I end up doing it. I'm like, let's mobile order. It's just so easy to mobile order. And you get a dopamine hit. You get a tasty cappuccino, 5 minutes. You're on your way. All you got to do is swing out of your way for 1 second. And it does give you a dopamine hit. And what it does is it makes it so you're instant gratification person instead of delayed gratification. And in the program, I talk about the marshmallow experiment. If you know about this experiment, it's totally awesome. If you don't, yeah, Thundercats, Thundercats. Thank you. Someone from my generation, or at least who understand it. Bela, the Chipmunks, exactly. Yes, the Smurfs were so great, right? Why there's only one? Actually, I think there was two Smurfs, right? That were women. Smurfette, which a friend of mine was telling me that he was dating someone with at the end, and it made me think of Smurfette and Sassy Smurf. They named the girl Sassy Smurf. Come on, please. So the idea is, again, you want to resensitize your brain, stop watching porn, and start recognizing where you're hitting the easy button for instant gratification. It'll probably blow your mind. That's why you make risky decisions. And you know what they're motivated by? You know what that immediate reward is? You know it. It is dopamine. That's what's at play right now. So go for delayed gratification. The marshmallow experiment was that they offered kids, they put a marshmallow in front of kiddos. And this was in the 60s. I got to look up the date because I forget it now. But they put one marshmallow and they told the child when the adult came back, if they waited and they didn't eat the marshmallow, they could have two. So obviously, if they eat the marshmallow, it's instant gratification. If they wait, they get a bigger reward for the delayed gratification, two marshmallows. So in that study, it's a longitudinal study over time. It's so cool because the kids that could delay their gratification and wait for the two marshmallows, they had higher levels of achievement on everything, on every single marker that they measured. Higher IQ, higher school scores, lower body mass index, like, just they studied it and it's really, really interesting. So we know delayed gratification is the way to be able to achieve your goals. And that risky decision making is impulse control that is being decreased in the frontal lobe and then the connection to the reward center. So that is an awesome, awesome, awesome question. So, okay. So let me hide that again and see what we got going. And I'm trying to stick to our time frame so that we can get off by 2:15 so that, okay, so new activities. Let's put this up. Let's get back to hibernation or Success November or whatever we're calling it here. So what new activities should a person do in this time? The answer is very individualized. That's why I started to give you a list of exercise, movement, and nature. But let's do this right now. Get your journal out or in your notes. Write yourself a note that once we get off, to think about to do this. Do a 3-minute brain dump of all the activities that you like to do. List them all out that you ever like to do. Start with when you were a kiddo. And I remember when I was a kid, I would literally sit in a tree. We would climb trees and I would sit in that tree. Haven't been in a tree in a while. I should do that because it was very good. But, climbing trees, or the Hubs gave away my rollerblades, but it's very hilly where I live. I'd probably die on rollerblades right now. But, I love to, thanks for the donations, first of all. I see them coming in. I really, really appreciate it. And I want you to know the donations go towards my, I will get back to that answer. They go to I'm looking it up here real quick. They go to the nonprofit organization that I started. It's called Porn Brain Prevention. And I'm going to put the link in here if anybody is inspired to donate. This way you can be incredibly confident that it is indeed going towards the nonprofit organization where it's programs designed to help prevent porn use or to help kids and young people stop. I have some really cool things in the works. I'm collaborating with a company out of the UK to make a video series for young people. And I am also hiring someone to run that nonprofit full time so we can raise lots of money. I have some cool ideas, so I won't talk about that too much, but I just want to thank you because I really appreciate it. I am dedicated to helping you leave porn and get out of the trap of porn. And I would love for all of us to be able to go upstream and prevent kids from getting caught in this trap, because what we already talked about is that this is everywhere. Porn in your pocket, porn at school is a thing right now. My daughter's 13. I don't know if I shared this last time we were on here. She keeps telling me that this kiddo, I won't say his name, that I keep coming up in his feed. And she's 13. They're in 7th grade. And this kiddo laughs that my videos keep being served to him. I don't want him being served my videos. I want him being served videos on hobbies and things that he loves, which will be our segue back into what you can do, what new activities. Figure out what the hobbies are that you like to do. Now, after your 3-minute brain dump, go back to that list and label them, the activities that you like to do, label them from a 1 to a 10 on how exciting they are for you. How much excitement or how eager do you get to do them? Because if you give that, like for me, I love to box. I have a new boxing bag. It has punch trackers. I can track my punches. I will follow different routines. Boxing's really fun. It is awesome for letting, stressy type of electrical energy out of my body. When I get ready to go box, it excites me. I'm psyched to do it. It feels really good. I'm excited to go do it. When I'm boxing, I'm jazzed up. I'm always cranking the tunes. So that activity for me is probably a 7 or an 8 on the dopamine scale. So the things that you can do, and this goes back to my original comments too, what we're doing in November is we're going to train your brain to get as much dopamine out of your life so you don't have to go into the screen. But you need to figure out what's dopamine producing for you, because you might not like boxing. You might go down and box and go, this is boring. So boxing might be a 2 for you when it's a 7 for me. And like, for example, one gentleman that I work with loved to play piano, but he hadn't played the piano in a really long time. That was his go-to, playing the piano, and it gave him 7 dopamine. And you know what? He was able to stay out of the screen. But then here's the key. The reason we're doing the 3-minute brain dump is because you can't have one thing to go do. You need as many things as possible to go do. So I love hanging out with my friends. My friends all ended up, this is the first year in 20 years that I didn't have a kid to take trick-or-treating. Isn't that amazing? 20 years, 2 decades of taking ankle biters trick-or-treating, which has been, obviously such a blessing and so wonderful. But this is the first year I didn't have a kiddo to take trick-or-treating. So we stayed at home and we gave out candy, to the kids. And my besties were out with their young kids, and they all came into the house and they hung out for like an hour. It was really, really fun. Chilling with my besties. There's 6 of us. Actually, now there's a new couple. There's potentially 8 of us because they've been hanging out. So there's 8 of us that hang, and it's amazing because I can just be myself. I don't have to put on airs. It's whatever I got going on is what I've got going on. And last Friday night we went to dinner, chilled on the back porch, beautiful moon. That's more serotonin producing. It's relaxing. It doesn't hit the same as dopamine, but serotonin lasts longer. So you want to get the dopamine hits because we're purging and rewiring, but you also want to teach your brain to be able to feel better with the happiness trifecta of lower dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin for connection. So find as many things that you can put in your toolbook, your toolbox. So figure it out for you, because I can't tell you what to do. What I can tell you is find dopamine in your life and get serotonin and oxytocin too. Viagra, we'll talk about it really quick. Like anytime you use Viagra, you are kind of taking away the opportunity for your brain to resensitize itself. So man's got to do what a man's got to do. Am I right? Sometimes. So when you take Viagra, yeah, it works for some people, but as your brain becomes more desensitized, it does not work for other people. So the more desensitized your brain, it's not going to work for you, or it'll only work in certain circumstances. And in the erectile dysfunction program that will be coming out soon, there's also, I was trying to keep it short, but I'm also going to include all the FAQs for ED, and there's going to be a long descriptor of how it plays out for people. I do have a lesson on the role of Viagra, but if you take Viagra, you are externally regulating. You're going to something outside of yourself to produce a physiological response. But if you're going to heal your brain so that you no longer have erectile problems, you have to keep resensitizing your brain and teach it to create erections again. Anytime you use Viagra, you're kind of stealing the opportunity for your brain to do that. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. And it does help blood flow. So that is what it's doing. So it's really the issue with erectile dysfunction is a top-down problem, and it needs a top-down solution. So you're kind of going bottom up on that one. Okay, if you really want to beat it, start doing some of the things that I've talked about. So get some healthy dopamine stacking going. Create a pivot plan. You need a plan. How are you going to get over urges and cravings? You're going to do it by brain hacking it and teaching your brain to go to a dopamine producing activity in your life. Maybe it's time to be off social media for the month, right? Think hibernation. We're hibernating. We're going to save our brains this month. Yep. Age is not a major factor. Do older people who are addicted to porn, I don't like to call people porn addicts. Older people, yeah, it's a matter of what you do, not necessarily how old you are. So there's young people who don't succeed. There's older people who do succeed because they commit and they do the things that they need to. And I'm going to put up here, while I'm multitasking again, if I can get back to, and then we're going to wrap up in just a second. I'm going to put the description of the 90-day program that I offer, because the link to sign up is here, but it also tells you what is in the program. What is in the program are all the things that you need to do. Unwire, rewire, hardwire your brain. It really is a deep, comprehensive issue. It's not a shallow issue. It necessitates a comprehensive approach to succeed. Let's see. Okay. ADHD. Yep. Porn can definitely impact ADHD. Jean-Pierre, thank you so much for the donation. I totally appreciate it. It's going to a good cause. Let's see. Random user, fear of missing out, my friend. This is the way that you avoid it, is you figure out what you want to create for your life, what you want. And then there's nothing you're missing out on. If it doesn't resonate for what you want to create in your life, then you don't need to be there. So for example, the party that I was supposed to go on Saturday, I wanted to go. I did. But then I'm like, and I did have fear of missing out, because I'm like, I don't want to miss out on that. But then I'm like, this is what I'm trying to create in my life. And every decision you make is taking you closer to your goals or further away. And I'm like, if I go to this, it's going to lead me further away from my goals right now. Then it releases me from the fear of missing out, because there's a saying, JOMO, the joy of missing out. And so then I literally was able to tap into the joy of missing out, because I thought to myself, I really want to rest and recover tonight. And I just chilled with my kids and my husband and the dog. And I'm like, this is just amazing. It was amazing. So JOMO. So I've already said here, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of what you do. Go to that link I just put in there. That's why the bar is 90 days. Can a person recover in 90 days? Absolutely. But you can't just sign up for a program and hope that it works 90 days later. It's implementation of as many strategies as possible. So right now, from this coaching call, do the things I asked you to do. Do the brain dump. Figure out the dopamine producing activities in your actual life. Recognize you need to rewire. Come up with a good name that keeps you really motivated through November. Figure out the most important times in your day and your week that you need to put something else in place that's dopamine producing, so you don't act out. Figure those things out and you'll be well on your way to implementing. Melissa, I am sorry that your man, was roped into porn. Likely it's not a choice. And I don't want to take away from the pain that you have, because I know it's painful, but I'm sure all the guys here can tell you that some people, they're in deep, that it's the essence of addiction is you no longer have a choice until you get into a recovery program. And it's so rough when people get there, and many men do. I'm reading Matthew Perry from Friends, Chandler Bing. He just passed away over the weekend. And so I downloaded his book and I've been reading it. And he was wrapped up in addiction for so long that, the way he talks about the need. And so, it's a need. It's not a choice for many people. And that's probably what happened in your case, because most men, healthy men, would never choose porn over a partner. So he wasn't a healthy man emotionally, whether he knows it or not. And I would stick by that till the end of my days. Okay, so I'm going to have to wrap up, because I'm keeping us to our, getting too late in India. I hear you, Abhinav. It's getting late here too, and I have things I have to get off to. But thank you, everybody, for joining me here. I really appreciate it. So listen, let's do this thing. November is our time. It's the beginning of the rest of your life, okay? So join me and make a plan. Figure out the habits. Figure out how you're going to stay away from the shenanigans. Let's rock this out. And I'm going to see you for another live in December, the first week in December, and we are going to check in. Now, before I leave, I should put up that I have opened up the No Porn November workshop that I offer. I'm going, the workshops tab I believe is there already that I put up, but I'm going to put it up again so that if you're interested, it's $33 for No Porn November workshop that I offer. It's the same one from last year. I did not re-record it. So I've been working on the erectile dysfunction. So if you want to get into it, we're doing a live with just specific for people in that No Porn November program. We're doing it on the Wednesday after, but we are going to do a live the first week in December. So make sure you join me so we can reconnect and see how everything went. Okay. Rock it out. You've got the links if you want to talk with me in person, if you want to join a program. And if not, stay here with me. Hopefully the videos are helping you. And I'll see you on the other side of hibernation, or let's create success November. All right. I'll see y'all then. Thank you all for coming. I'm so glad to be able to help. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to y'all soon.